So picking up where I left off, sort of with the last intro video, what's on my mind today? Well, as I said, one of the things that's motivating me to do this video and any other videos that I may do is the apparent difficulty that the world seems to find itself in. And well, we're here, aren't we? So whether we volunteered for it or wanted to come here or to Earth, or whatever, whether we wanted to, didn't want to, agreed to, not, we'll leave that spiritual dimension of it out for a minute here. We're here. And so, how to make the best of it. Well, I guess really the point of this video is just to sort of put out there this idea that I have had to confront a lot in my life. And it's this idea that, most of what human beings, and so I'm a litigator, I'm a lawyer, I've mentioned that. So that's kind of the professional background I'm coming from, at least for the last decade to decade and a half, is coming from the background of a litigator. Fighting other people's battles for them, being hired to fight other people's battles for them, being willing to jump in the ring on behalf of somebody else to fight, a battle that they needed some help with. And I've just noticed this pattern that humans have, and I think it's all of us. I think all humans, and I think many, if not most, of the human-created problems in the world stem from this idea that I'm going to talk about a little bit. There's in the world, there's things happening, and there's some of those things are highly inconvenient to us as humans, more or less inconvenient, right? Like wildfires are very, very inconvenient to humans, but they do happen. And while some of them are caused by humans, some of them are not. Some of them just naturally occur as part of the ecosystem of the planet. But when they do happen naturally, it's not something that we did necessarily. We might have done something to contribute to it, but it's there. So it's like what? So that's one type of problem. But I'm not talking about those types of problems today. Right now, I'm going to talk about human-created problems, which is really just how we interact with each other, right? How we interact with each other. We cause difficulties, and those difficulties, maybe it starts with a verbal disagreement, maybe it escalates to a shouting match, or maybe it culminates in a separation of a relationship. It might require a lawyer for divorce. It might require a military to intervene. I mean, a lot of that going on in the world right now. But when it comes to these human-created problems, it seems to me that many, if not most, of these human-created problems, they stem from this idea of, and this is the meat of this video, this idea, I had to do it to survive. I had to do it to survive. What have you had to do to survive that you didn't want to do, that you didn't feel good about doing, that you later felt guilty about doing, that you prayed for God to forgive you for doing? I think we've all done things that, it wouldn't be our optimal situation. It wouldn't, what we did wouldn't be, wouldn't have been just if there was nothing else at play, right? And it was just pure desire and just pure choice at play. If it occurred to us like that, like we could just choose what to do, what we did would not have been the first thing on the list. But maybe we had a family to provide for, maybe, maybe it was undermining a coworker because it had become apparent that it was either going to be me or this other employee that was going to be fired. And maybe, I had an opportunity to undermine this other employee's work and thereby survive. It's just an example. That's not necessarily a situation from my life, but I see it a lot in employment disputes where, politics going on. But it's just an inquiry. Like what have I done that wasn't what I really wanted to do, wasn't what I felt emotionally, spiritually, if spiritual is on my list of things, but even without the spiritual part, things, what have I done that ideally, philosophically, intellectually, emotionally, psychologically, I wish I hadn't done. But I felt that it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's a world that has a lot of evil in it. And, I could either do this thing and put myself at a better position, or I could not do the thing, or I could, refrain from doing something that I really felt like I should do in a perfect world. So either an act or an omission that I, if I hadn't taken that course of action, I wouldn't survive. I wouldn't survive the layoff. I wouldn't survive the demotion. I wouldn't survive the bell curve for the class. I wouldn't keep my marriage, right, and not have to pay $20,000 a month in alimony. If I didn't take the course of action that I took, somebody else would have gained an unfair advantage over me. Somebody else, if I hadn't done the thing that I did, then somebody else would have had leverage over me that just was untenable, right? Because I got to survive. I can't have this other person or this other group of people, and I can't have that leverage that would be afforded to which that other person or group of people would have if I didn't take the course of action that I took to survive. And these things they almost always haunt us for the rest of our lives, or if we're maybe we're more sociopathic and we don't maybe we don't have a conscience that's really loud, but these things maybe they don't haunt us, maybe they do, but maybe they haunt other people. Maybe you don't feel bad about it, but you can see where the thing that you did to survive hurt somebody that you care about, and you can see that it hurt them, and you're like, well, I hate it, had to do it in this dog-eat-dog world, gotta do it. So this is just one of the biggest phenomena that is kind of running the planet, I think. There's a lot of other things, And obviously there's various emotions at play within that, right? Like you could say, well, Ken, no, it's really fear that's running the world, or it's really greed that's running the world, or it's really envy that's running the world. But, and I would agree with all those things as well, on some level. At some level of correctness, those are at play. But what I'm really saying is, like, how does fear manifest itself in human dealings? Because most of the problems that humans have are problems that they create by the way they're interacting with other people, right? At the present moment, there's an artificial intelligence arms race. In the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, there was a nuclear arms race. Between, the 7th and 10th centuries in northwestern Europe, there was a clans or tribal race, if you will, between, the Anglo-Saxons, for example, and the Vikings, and, raiding and pillaging and sacking of towns and stuff up and down the English Channel, the French coast, the Danish coast, the English coast, and it's all sort of, we have to do it to survive, If we don't go take their resources, they might get strong enough to come take our resources. If we don't get the bomb first, they're going to get the bomb and they're going to use it against us. If we don't just go absolutely damned all out on the AI, regardless of what the consequences are, like if we don't do it, somebody else is going to get it first. And so this I did it to survive thing just drives so many really horrible outcomes. And I'm not advocating for any sort of this is not a political channel. This is not a political talk. I'm not advocating for anything political. I'm not advocating for anything sociological. I'm not advocating at the level of, well, let's look at it. What are the different levels of human being that I could be speaking to? It starts with individual, then group or tribe, then community, then, maybe a state, maybe nation state, and then the world. So I could be having a conversation at the level of the world, all humans. I could be having a conversation, targeting the level of group. 5 people working on a team at a job. I'm not talking to groups of people. I'm talking to an individual. I'm talking to you. I'm speaking at the level of individual. That's why I'm saying it's not political, because I'm not talking about what anyone else does. I'm talking to the listener, and because as the world goes through this transitional phase, some people call it, a turning, 1, 2, 3, 4, turning. Some people call it that. There's other things that people call, these phases that we go through. Like right now, it's very, very similar to the 1930s in a lot of ways. There's these phases that society goes through, but really what I'm speaking to is there's going to be a lot more of that need to survive occurring that's what's going to be occurring for you. So if you had this conversation, I had to do it to survive, going on, in 1995, I know you've got that conversation going on probably louder in 2025. It's probably going to get louder in 2026. It's probably going to get louder in 2027 until we get through this phase, because it's going to be a lot more, it's going to appear to people like there is a lack of surviving, and so you're going to need to survive more in your mind, and so you're going to be figuring out, what can I do to survive? So what I'm sort of the point of this little talk is, whatever you do in the next few years to get through this period, you're going to have to live with, assuming you survive through it, and I hope we all do. you're going to have to live with that for a long time, potentially, never how long you live. And, you can just start right now today being aware that I got to do it to survive is driving you. And I would just say, hey, take a look at that, and maybe consider starting to become aware of when that shows up for you. Like, I feel like I got to do this to survive. I feel like I got to undermine my boss to survive. I feel like I got to undermine a colleague to survive. I feel like I got to, not pay this person the money I owe them because I won't survive if I do. I made a commitment to tithe to my church, but if I won't survive if I live up to that commitment that I made. Just whatever it is. So, because the power of this phenomenon is it has power over you when you're not aware that it's operating. So the point of this little talk today is just to become aware of when that is operating. And just ask yourself, do I actually have to do this to survive? Do I want to do it? Do I want to do it? Do I really want to do this thing? Is this thing that I'm thinking about doing or thing I should do but I'm not going to do or thinking about not doing to survive, is this act or omission to survive, is it really necessary for survival? Because it might not be if you think about it. All right, that's all I got for right now. We can talk about this more, but that's kind of the general idea. I hope y'all have a great day or evening or morning or wherever, whenever y'all are at. Thanks.